We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the college football world. The Ohio State Buckeyes have reached the summit of the hardest mountain to climb in college football history, and they are your 2024-2025 national champions. And as many of you may know, and if you don't know, you probably learned pretty quickly, I support the Scarlet and Gray. I bleed Scarlet and Gray, and I never hide my fandom. Well, no point in hiding it now. My team is on top of the mountaintop of college football. What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel, and welcome to this national championship review, as well as an Ohio State fan reaction. We are going to push my Buckeye fandom to the side for a second, and we are purely going to talk about this game. If you want to see my Ohio State fan reaction portion of this video, it'll be a little bit later after I talk about everything going on within the national championship, reviewing the game, talking about why Ohio State is your national champion and how they won this game. And then we'll dive on into my thoughts and feelings about this team, about this season from a Buckeye perspective, about my team and about the season as a whole. And we'll dive into some more conversations and things of that nature. But thank you so much for tuning in, lending me your eyes and ears. I really do appreciate it. If you like this video and you like this content, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when I upload videos, even though the college football season is now over. I know, oh, big sad face. We are going to be posting some off-season content. We're going to be talking about some big burning questions, some things that maybe the state of college football, what can be fixed, some of the off-season things that are happening, transfer portal stuff. We're going to dive on into a lot of it here on my channel. We're putting out some off-season content, so you don't want to miss any of that. But also, any other way you want to interact with the channel, all helps to support what I do here on YouTube. You can like, you can comment, you can share, and even if you simply just want to kick back, relax, and watch this video, and that's the only thing you do, hey, I still, again, really appreciate you lending me your eyes and ears. But if you want to support me in any other way, please go give me a follow outside of YouTube on Twitter or Instagram. It's at TailgateNate29. You can look at articles I write, games I call, podcasts I host, and everything of that nature there over on those platforms. So please go check me out anywhere. Again, Twitter, Instagram, or if you simply just found me on YouTube, you want to hit that subscribe button, I'd greatly appreciate that as well. Sorry again for this video not getting out in as timely of a manner as I wanted it to. I actually felt pretty sick the day of the national championship game. I know, watch my team win the national championship sick. What a great feeling, huh? Don't worry, I still screamed my head off, even though my throat still didn't feel great. But hey, doesn't matter. The team is on the mountaintop, and I'm sure a lot of you people out there would have done the exact same thing. If you were in my shoes sick, yeah, you're still going to go cheer and root hard for your team, even if your throat feels like absolute crap. And then I got last minuted on a couple of things yesterday, so I couldn't get this video out yesterday like I wanted it to, so it's coming out today. I know the timeliness of this probably doesn't sit super well, so I do apologize for that, but nonetheless, it's out, it's here. We're talking about the national championship game. Again, we're going to dive into my Ohio State fan reaction point of this a little bit later. But first, we are going to start by diving on into reviewing this national championship game. Also, before I start, please don't judge my singing talents at the beginning. I know I don't have a great voice. I know I'm not a singer. I just thought it'd be fun, and it definitely was. That was a very fun intro. Hopefully that doesn't get copyright striked either, because, well, some of you out there may know. Okay, let's go ahead and start reviewing this national championship game by previewing it one final time. Now, you can't really preview it because it already happened, but some of the storylines coming into this game and the storylines, no matter who won, were going to be absolutely extraordinary. On one side, you had Ryan Day, the loss to Michigan, and all the threats and just bad vibes surrounding that program and everything, the narratives, the threats, everything that Ryan Day and that program was facing. I just here, here, it's off the screen. It was absolutely insane. Just the amount of things being said and thrown around through different forms of social media, even through talking heads. Ryan Day is coaching for his job. Only a national championship will save him. I never believed that to be the case. And even the AD at Ohio State, Ross Bjork, would tell you, yeah, we don't care what happens. Ryan Day is not going anywhere. And to the national championship, they'd been the most dominant team through these playoffs, slaughtering Tennessee, beating the crap out of a team that beat you in the regular season in the Rose Bowl, in the Oregon Ducks. Things got interesting against Texas late, but the Jack Sawyer scoop and score will live in Buckeye infamy, and it all led them back to Atlanta, a site where the last time they were there, when the clock struck midnight 2022, transitioning to 2023, the Noah Ruggles missed field goal that will also live in Ohio State infamy for the wrong reasons, right? That just the storylines coming in for the Buckeyes were amazing. Storylines coming in for Notre Dame were amazing as well. Marcus Freeman, first black or Asian head coach to be coaching in a national championship, and he's doing so on Martin Luther King Day in Atlanta, Georgia. You can't script this stuff, folks. That is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And the road Notre Dame took to get here was really tough as well. I know people are going to discount Indiana, and maybe somewhat they'll discount Georgia because they were without their starting quarterback, Carson Beck. And some people can say Indiana didn't really belong and whatnot. Not my job, not what I'm going to sit here and say. I think they beat a really good Indiana team. They beat a really good Georgia team, and then they just beat an exceptionally good Penn State team to get to the national championship game, finding a way to win, right? Both of these teams' runs had been incredible, and I said leading up to the national championship game, this was going to be a great national championship game, and it's a very deserving national championship game for both of these programs. Water break. So let's dive on into the actual game, shall we? Notre Dame starts with the football first, and you can kind of go out there, look and say, okay, if the Buckeye defense makes a stand here, this thing can get ugly. This thing can get ugly pretty darn early. Now what happened? Notre Dame said Ohio State starts fast. Watch this: 18 plays, 75 yards, 9 minutes and 45 seconds, led by the Riley Leonard quarterback run. He probably ran the thing 8 or 9 times on that drive. I would go through and count, but I'd have to count 18 plays, and that'd take a lot of time away from you fine people. So, but 18 plays, 75 yards, 9 minutes, 45 seconds. It is the longest opening drive in a BCS or college football playoff game ever. And Notre Dame goes down the field and puts up 7 points. And some people in the building, probably more wearing scarlet and gray than wearing the gold and green and navy blue, right, were looking and thinking, uh-oh, this thing could get really interesting really fast. And it did, because Ohio State immediately drives down the field and scores. And Ohio State has been a buzzsaw throughout these playoffs for the most part, right? The Texas game got pretty interesting there towards the late, but they were a buzzsaw against Tennessee. They couldn't be stopped against Oregon. They put those teams away early. Texas made it very interesting and close, but Ohio State was still able to answer and pick up big plays where it mattered most. And right here, I mean, that answer from Ohio State was absolutely massive. So it's 7-7 early on, and Ohio State didn't even get that touchdown on the board until the second quarter. Because Notre Dame just took away so much time. Ohio State took a fair bit of time off the clock. 11 plays, 75 yards, 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Will Howard throwing some really good balls. Travion Henderson had a couple nice runs. Quinshon Judkins breaking loose a couple of times there, once on the pass and a good run from him as well. Good pass to Emeka Egbuka in the closing stages of that first quarter. Will Howard run snuck in there. And then it was Jeremiah Smith taking a play out of the Alabama playbook. Go back and watch the 2020 national championship game where Alabama and Mac Jones and Devontae Smith ran that exact same play against the Buckeyes there in, I believe it was Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens in the national championship game. Ohio State called it here, and it worked perfectly. Now, one thing I will say about that play is I don't really understand what Christian Gray was doing, just from a personal fan perspective, Christian Gray was on Jeremiah Smith, just pointing at him, saying, here, this is the guy we got to watch out for. He's going to break loose. And then he darts to the other side of the field, leaving Jeremiah Smith completely wide open, and the right side of the field completely unmanned. So I don't really know what Christian Gray was doing on that play. Maybe someone can explain that in the comment section down below, because I'm honestly very curious as to what Christian Gray saw, because he obviously saw Jeremiah Smith. He pointed him out emphatically. You could see it on TV. And they still couldn't cover him. So 7-7 after that one. And then the very next drive for Notre Dame was filled with penalties, including the first holding call against an Ohio State opponent since September 21st in the game against the Marshall Thundering Herd. Not here to provide my opinion on that. You can take away from that what you will. I'm just here to provide the facts, and that is the fact. So they punted away, and the Buckeyes immediately go down the field. 10 plays, 76 yards, 6 minutes, 6 seconds, very similar to the first drive, and they put another touchdown on the board. And at this point, you kind of look at it, and you can just feel, uh-oh, this is not good. This is probably going to go downhill really, really south for Notre Dame, because that's when Ohio State gets in buzzsaw mode and they just rev and go. And early on, it definitely looked like Ohio State was just going to keep going. And Notre Dame had to punt it away their very next drive. Ohio State scored a touchdown there. By the way, that second touchdown scored by Quinshon Judkins. He put a dude in the dirt, man. Bam! Get off of me, little boy. And he was able to get into the end zone. And then very next drive, you had some, again, Will Howard making some very, very nice throws. One to Cardinal Tate, one to Jeremiah Smith. You had him run on 2nd and 10 at the Notre Dame 23. And then Will Howard scrambling around, draws the defense, finds Quinshon Judkins open in the back of the end zone. So a pair of touchdowns for Judkins in that first half. And the Buckeyes go into the locker room up 7-0 as they score that final touchdown right before the half. Oh, and they get the ball to start the second half there as well. Well, what happens to start the second half? Very first play, Quinshon Judkins 70-yard run. Doesn't take long for the Buckeyes to find pay dirt after that. Judkins gets in for a 1-yard touchdown, and suddenly it's 28-7, and it's a splattering, right? And you take a look and you just think, well, this one is already over. There's absolutely no way Notre Dame is going to come back and win this one. It just quite simply is not going to happen, because Ohio State, they'd only had 4 drives up to that point, and 4 touchdowns on 4 drives. Ohio State was 3 for 3 early on against Tennessee. I think they were 3 for 4, maybe even 4 for 5 against Oregon in that game. And you could probably take that even further. The Texas game, they really couldn't do that because the Texas defense did a good job at holding the Buckeyes to really play the game that Texas wanted them to play, and that's not let them stretch the field as much, having to methodically drive down and things of that nature. But, I mean, that 70-yard run from Judkins, man, kind of set the tone, and you could just kind of tell, like, woof, this could be a very rough game for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And on the very next drive, they try to go for it there on 4th and 2. Okay, well, not intentionally. The Buckeyes are able to bring Jordan Faison down, and then they run a fake punt. Steve Angeli was in there. The backup quarterback got the snap, rolled out, had Jordan Faison, and had Jordan Faison made that catch, who knows what happens in the rest of this game. But reality is he drops it. Ouch. That is awful, because he was open. He had him, and maybe the pass sure could have been put a little bit more on target by Steve Angeli. I thought it was actually a pretty darn good place for the football. Just quite simply, Jordan Faison doesn't make that catch. Ohio State gets a field goal on their next drive, and you look at the scoreboard, 31-7. If you didn't think it was over already, you could probably say, all right, it's over now. Let's pack it up. Let's go home. Might as well drop the confetti. Notre Dame said, no, there's still how much time left? Yeah, watch this. And they go down the field their very next drive, and they answer. And that's exactly what you wanted to see from Notre Dame. And it was Jaden Greathouse breaking a tackle, putting the spin move on Caleb Downs, and getting his butt into the end zone. Riley Leonard with a little shovel pass to Jeremiah Love, and we'll talk more about Jeremiah Love a little bit later, just sort of recapping the game here. And Notre Dame has suddenly made this a 16-point game. Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka, ripping off a big play, 24 yards, but then he fumbles. The peanut punch. It was forced by Drake Bowen, and hopefully I'm saying that first name right. Viliamu Asa is able to pick it up and recover the fumble for Notre Dame. And the Irish, you can just sense, man, they got life. Well, they go down, they get into the red zone, and I believe there may have been a penalty that backed them up. No, it was, oh, yeah, no. Sorry, I'm thinking about an Ohio State penalty that helped Notre Dame get into this goal-to-go situation. 2nd and 4, Riley Leonard throws something up to Jaden Harrison, and there was holding called on Jordan Hancock. It was kind of a weird, like, okay, who are they going to get the holding call on? Because I don't even think they got the number right. But nonetheless, 1st and goal at the 8, and the Irish can do nothing. You get in a goal-to-go situation against this Buckeye defense, forget about it. You just absolutely can't do it. Whoa, what is happening here? All right. Well, sorry about that. I don't exactly know what that was, but you know what? We're going to leave it in because bloopers are funny. Okay. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. When you get into the goal to go situation against this Buckeye defense, good luck, man, because no one has had success with it all year, and Notre Dame didn't have success with it here. So then I'm not one to question play calling. But questions are going to be raised about why Marcus Freeman decided to kick the field goal there, because mathematically, it just doesn't really line up. Right now, Marcus Freeman explained it in his post-game press conference, like, well, if we kick the field goal there, even though there was, 9.5 minutes left, he felt like that was plenty of time to get 2 more touchdowns. And the way this game played out, you would have to agree with him at that point, because again, hindsight 2020, this kick goes through. Who knows what happens, right? But the kick doinks off of the left upright, and heads and hands, and the fans just, oh no, right? Like, it's just one of those, like, moments, right? And so Buckeyes have to punt on their very next drive, and then Notre Dame goes down the field and scores a touchdown. So even though they missed that field goal, they are still in this thing. They get Jaden Greathouse again. Riley Leonard throws this thing up, even with pass interference. Jaden Greathouse makes a phenomenal catch, and what a player Jaden Greathouse has been for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, especially down the stretch in this playoff run. He's been simply sensational. Jordan Faison with a little shovel out, and it looks like it's going to get blown up. He flips it into the back of the end zone to Bo Collins. There's your 2-point conversion. And then Notre Dame on the ensuing defensive possession gets the Buckeyes 3rd and 11 with 2:38 left. Notre Dame was going to play man coverage all game, they said. Jeremiah Smith says, watch this. Will Howard, they call go routes, right? It was a simple go ball, and chucks it up to number 4, and he comes down with it wide open. Now, Will Howard will tell you if he puts a little bit more air under that football, leads Jeremiah Smith a little bit better, it's probably 6 points, but they're not going to argue with the result after this. Jaden Fielding comes on with 26 seconds left at the Notre Dame 15, 33-yard field goal for the win, basically to secure it, and it's a 34-23 victory for the first ever 12-team college football playoff, and what my opinion is the most legitimate national championship run ever. And maybe legitimate is the wrong terminology to use here, but it is the toughest run to a national championship that any team has ever had. And I'll explain why after another water break. Again, I'm still not feeling the best, guys. You got to cut me some slack here and at least give me some credit for staying hydrated, which you should be too, by the way. Stay hydrated out there. But what a phenomenal game. When it looked like Notre Dame was dead and out, I mean, they just continue to show up. And Riley Leonard put this team on his back, as he has done many a times throughout this season. Absolutely carrying this team. He made some huge plays in this game, made some big plays against Georgia, but some of the non-negotiables for Notre Dame entering this game, you couldn't let Ohio State run the football. Final stats, I believe 215-73. I'm going to fact check that here right now. 214-53. So I was only 1 yard off. Final passing stats, Riley Leonard actually outperformed Will Howard in that category, 255 to 231. And it was because, again, Notre Dame had to dig deep in their bag, right? And they felt like they were down and out early. That first touchdown drive, awesome, immaculate, amazing. That was a great start for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You couldn't script it much better because you take a lot of time away from this Buckeye offense. The only problem was the Buckeye offense continuing to do what they've done all playoff long. Again, 4 touchdowns on their first 4 drives. Notre Dame could not afford themselves to get into a double-digit hole. Now, we also said the same thing. Well, I didn't. Some other people said. Maybe I did. So don't quote me on that, but maybe I did. But a lot of people were saying, probably myself included, at least if I didn't say it, I was definitely thinking it. Notre Dame could not afford to get into a double-digit deficit against Penn State and still win the game. Well, they did that. I think it rang even more true in this game here, and they got themselves in a 24-point deficit. Now, you have to tip your cap and give so much credit to the way that they fought and they competed and they made this thing a game. If not for that 50-yard throw to Jeremiah Smith on that 3rd and 11 play from Will Howard, Notre Dame has a shot. And with the way that their offense was moving and driving the ball, they were going to have a real opportunity to possibly even send this game into overtime, and then who knows what happens. But I love the way that this thing went for the Buckeyes. Not only this game, because they expel their kicking demons, right? The Noah Ruggles missed field goal. Sorry to remind Ohio State fans about this. I cringe even reminding myself, who bleeds scarlet and gray, about this. But the Noah Ruggles missed field goal in Atlanta when you played Georgia in your last college football playoff trip. Haunting, nightmarish, just gets your skin crawling. And the way that this game ended, Jaden Fielding coming on, winning this game, securing the victory with a field goal. It was nowhere near as long as the one Noah Ruggles would have had to make in Atlanta. What would that have been? About 2 years ago now at this point. But man, this one feels so much sweeter. And great relief for Ryan Day and for this team. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about that in my Ohio State fan reaction portion, which is coming up here pretty darn soon. But when you talk about Marcus Freeman, he's going to win a national championship at some point. That is my belief. That's a lot of belief that people out there have, because Marcus Freeman, what a guy. He is, it's hard not to like Marcus Freeman. In fact, I think it is truly 100% impossible. If you don't like Marcus Freeman, you're lying to yourself. Yes, you do. Marcus Freeman's one of the most likable guys out there, and it would shock me is if someday Marcus Freeman does not bring home a national championship. I think he's got Notre Dame in a great program, and I've heard people asking the question, is this Notre Dame's best shot, or are they going to get better? Guys, this is only the beginning for Notre Dame. Now, they couldn't get down double digits against Ohio State because they're simply just not built to come back like that. Now, they tried, and Riley Leonard put this team on his back, and he was great. You have to have some questions, though, about where was Jeremiah Love? Where was Jadarian Price? They combined for 7 carries for 16 yards. That's just Riley Leonard ran the ball more than double than the amount of carries that Price and Love got combined. He had 17 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown there, and the longest run Notre Dame had all game was only 9 yards. Maybe that was something where Notre Dame thought, hey man, we got to throw the football a lot. We are going to have to, kind of change our game plan a little bit. Maybe that's something they set in stone. Maybe they saw how the Buckeyes were defending Price and Love early. In fact, they didn't even defend Jadarian Price that well early because his first carry, he ripped off for 8 yards. Didn't do anything beyond that point. 2 carries for 5 yards after that run. But look, man, just no matter what, you can question this, question that. For Notre Dame to even get there after that Northern Illinois loss when everybody counted them out, unbelievable. I love Marcus Freeman. I love the job that he's done. I love the program that he's building. This is only the beginning for Notre Dame. It would shock me if Marcus Freeman doesn't get another opportunity to try to hoist this thing. I think he's one of the best head coaches in the entire country, and the dude is only 39 years old. He's going to have his moments. He's going to have his opportunities. And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will be a really, really good program, as they usually are, and as they have been throughout college football history. But especially when Marcus Freeman is at the helm, this will be a team to watch out for many a years coming on down the line. But before I dive on into my Ohio State portion here, hats off to Ryan Day, man. Just simply from a college football standpoint, it's also kind of hard not to be happy for him. Now, maybe if you wear maize and blue, you could care less. But if you wear anything else, all of the crap that Ryan Day and this program went through after the loss to the Maize and Blue on their own home turf. There was the flag planting, and there was all sorts of things, and just the feeling around Columbus being down and like, are you serious? We just lost to this team again. And might I very well be clear here? Actually, no. I want to answer that question in my Ohio State fan reaction. I know some of you want me to answer a very specific question here very quickly. And you know what? Let's just do it right now. Hello, Ohio State fan Nate here. And we're actually going to change the camera angle here. So apologies. Whoa, look at that. Fancy technology. I know, we got it. So, it's Ohio State fan, Nate speaking. And, um, look, man, I never doubted this team. I never doubted Ryan Day. A lot of people were calling for him to be fired. And to be quite honest with you, in my immediate response after the Michigan game, I did say publicly, not necessarily on social media or even on YouTube or anything of that nature, but I was talking with friends and family. I did say, you know what, whatever they decide to do with Ryan Day at this point, I'm fine with it. If they want to bring it back, great, I'm bought in. If they want to get someone else in here, great, I am bought in. I'm totally bought in to Ryan Day now, man. And all of the BS that is said about Ryan Day, I know it's probably still going to continue. And I know it's probably still going to, go on. And, the only thing people can bring up about this season is the Michigan loss, right? That's the only thing people are going to bring up. 13 to 10, 13 to 10, 0 and 4, 0 and 4. And I know they have a national championship to hang. We got one too. It was scarlet and gray confetti on the turf this year. I mean, I'm totally bought in to Ryan Day. Now, I'm also going to sit here and say the criticism and the questions about where this team was, the team that showed up all playoff long, where that performance was against Michigan, and why that version of this Ohio State team didn't show up. And that's very fair. That's absolutely fair. I question that too. And it really does make you scratch your head. It's one of the most head-scratching upsets, I think, throughout college football history, especially knowing what we know now, that this team wins the national championship. But a national championship and even a title in general, whether it's a Super Bowl, an NBA title, a Stanley Cup, the college basketball championship, it doesn't matter. It defeats all pain. Now, I'm not saying the Michigan loss is still painful and the game doesn't matter, but a national championship should matter more. And I know I might get, he said the Michigan game doesn't. No, I didn't. The Michigan game matters, man. It's the most important game on the regular season schedule. But when you look at the three goals, beat Michigan, win the Big Ten, win the national championship. Those are the three goals every single year for this program. A national championship trumps all of it. Always. And that's in any sport at any level. When you win it all and you are the last team standing at the mountaintop, at the summit where nobody else can be, nobody else but you has the opportunity to lift that national championship trophy, man, is it the sweetest thing ever. And the Michigan loss still hurts, sure, but I feel really good right now. Why? Because we just hoisted a national championship. And I also have a sneaky feeling that this national championship is going to take a lot of pressure off of Ryan Day. I don't think Buckeye fans are going to back off entirely, because that's just not what this fan base does. I was never on Ryan Day's butt. I was never calling him I was never calling for his head. For some people to say, I was never calling for him to be fired. I was never saying like, oh, let's try to look for the other head coaches. I was bought in to the college football playoff, man. With the 12-team playoff, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, doesn't matter. It breathes new life, and it breathed new life into everybody. Penn State didn't win their conference. They were in the Final Four. Texas didn't win their conference. They were in the Final Four. Notre Dame, you're going to make the argument maybe they wouldn't have gotten in a regular 4-team year. They made the Final Four, and of course, the team that won it all, Ohio State, lost to your biggest rival, didn't even make the conference championship game, and they are sitting here as the champions of college football. I got to talk about some of these players, man. I said my piece on Ryan Day. I want him here for as long as possible because while I'm not comparing head coaches, and I need to make that very, very clear, I am not comparing head coaches because I think Kirby Smart is a better head coach than Ryan Day. I really do. I think Kirby Smart is a better head coach. People were saying the same things about Kirby. People were saying the same things about Jim Harbaugh. Again, not comparing coaches, but they were saying he can't win the big one. He can't get over Bama. He can't get over Ohio State. He can't win a national championship. Kirby Smart just won 2 straight. Jim Harbaugh won 1 last season and avenged the Ohio State Demons. Cannot versus have not, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Day hadn't done it yet. Now he does. There's only, I believe, 5 head coaches in Ohio State history that have ever won a national championship. Ryan Day is one of those 5, and he has the chance to lift the 9th national championship in Ohio State football history. In fact, no matter which team won this game, it would have been their 9th, I believe, 2nd most all time now. No big deal. But Ryan Day has, among coaches that have coached, I believe, at least 75 games. I think he's got the second or third if you include Walter Camp, which I am going to in this experiment. He's got the 3rd highest winning percentage of all time. Of all time. And I'm sorry, I know the Michigan game is important. One opponent does not outweigh a national championship. It just doesn't. Seeing the confetti fall and seeing your colors just flutter down from the rafters of Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, feels so sweet. And I know there have been years where there was a year Alabama won a national title. They didn't even make their, conference championship game because they lost to the Auburn Tigers. No one remembers that they lost to Auburn. I'm not saying no one is going to remember that they lost to Michigan, but what people should remember is the run that they went on. Because before I start talking about these players, I said it earlier, and I think this is the best, toughest, most legitimate national title run in college football history. Ohio State finishes this season with the most AP top 5 wins of all time. They surpassed a lot of other teams, including 2019 LSU. They beat Penn State, Indiana, Texas, Oregon, and Notre Dame when they were all ranked inside the AP top 5. And even if you want to say, well, that's when, they were ranked at the current time. What are they ranked now? They've beaten number 2, number 3, number 4, number 6, number 9, and number 10. That's one hell of an impressive resume, a great run to a national championship, and I got to start saying my thanks to a lot of these guys. They saw what Michigan did in 2023. A lot of guys came back. They felt like they had unfinished business. They fell short of the national championship berth and a chance to go avenge their loss from the previous year in the college football playoff to Georgia. They fell there to the TCU. Probably would have given Georgia a lot better of a run than TCU did. And in 2023, everybody on Michigan came back. J.J. McCarthy came back. Blake Corum came back. Donovan Edwards was probably going to come back anyway. All those defensive stars came back, and they won a national championship. Ohio State did the exact same thing. Now, while they didn't have a returning quarterback, Emeka Egbuka, he came back. Travion Henderson, he came back. You had all these defensive players, Jack Sawyer, JTT, Lathan Ransom, Denzel Burke, IGB, all of these guys, Cody Simon, who I feel really good for right now, by the way, all of these guys come back, and you bring in a lot of great talent through the transfer portal. Quinshawn Judkins, who played a huge part in this national championship game and is just a sensational talent. He is ridiculously good. Caleb Downs, he is also ridiculously good, man. He's the best safety in the country. That's as a college football fan. That's as a Buckeye fan. He's a generational, heck, centennial type player. He is stupidly good. And then you bring in the freshman Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver, who lit college football on fire this year. But the guy that deserves maybe not the most credit, because I believe that to be Ryan Day, but the guy that deserves a hell of a lot of credit is number 18, and that is Will Howard. To see his journey, man, him even having to fight to compete for a starting job at Kansas State, coming into this program, wins the starting job, doesn't necessarily play great to kick off his Ohio State career. It kind of took him a little bit to get into the flow of things and find his rhythm within this offense. He found it, and he was on fire this national championship game. He was amazing. I think 13, if not 14 straight completions to begin this game, and had the play of the game, man. The 50-yard deep bomb to Jeremiah Smith to seal that thing for all intents and purposes. I know Jaden Fielding really did there at, or I should say, kicking that field goal. But Will Howard set that up, man. That 50-yard bomb and the way he played throughout this playoff, that's the best football of his career. Now, I should have said this earlier, but Will Howard and Riley Leonard are the two most underrated quarterbacks in the entire nation. Period. End of story. My thinking is I think one of them, if not both of them, are going to be pretty darn solid on Sundays. I expect both of them to enter the NFL draft. Watch out for Will Howard. Watch out for Riley Leonard at the next level. Those two guys are dogs. And especially all the players that are on this Buckeye roster, it's going to look very different next year because a lot of these guys are going to go pro. And it's a lot of guys I just mentioned there about, maybe 4 or 5 minutes ago at this point. And they are now ingrained in Ohio State lore. Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins, Jack Sawyer, JTT, Will Howard, Lathan Ransom, Caleb Downs, Denzel Burke, and we even get Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith back next year. Emeka Egbuka, G. Scott, Seth McLaughlin, all the offensive linemen. Dude, I could not be more proud of this team. The way that they fought through adversity and the way that they fought through injuries and then the Michigan loss and all of the backlash and everything being said about this team and this program and about their head coach on social media, it only made them rally harder and rally around their coach, rally around each other. And they just did something really, really special. They were the first champion in the 4-team playoff, which at that point in time, you could make the case was the hardest run anyone had to make to win a national championship because you had to run through 2 quality teams in postseason play instead of just 1. And now Ohio State again has to what I believe the hardest, most legitimate national championship run in college football history to this point. Now, maybe that'll change at some point, but as we sit here today, I think that they did it. They were going to write history no matter what. Notre Dame was going to write history if Notre Dame won this game. First 12-team playoff winners. That is something special, man. And they had probably the hardest road to do it. They had the hardest path out of anybody to get to a national championship and to hoist that college football playoff trophy, and they did it. 4 wins against 4 teams that finished inside the AP top 10, and that I'm sure if the committee were ranking teams might even finish inside the committee's top 8 or something along that lines. Tennessee, check. Oregon, check. Texas, check. And then Notre Dame in Atlanta. Wow. Unbelievable, man. I am so incredibly proud to be a Buckeye today, as I am every single day. Never disappointed to wear these colors. Never. But this is so sweet. This feels so good. Ryan Day has got to feel just out of this world. I can't even imagine what he is thinking. I can't even imagine what these players are thinking. This is awesome. This really is awesome. I'm super proud of this team, super proud of that coaching staff, and this roster going to look very, very different next season. I can assure you, Ohio State fan reactions will be back next season. But man, just what a season! What a season overall for college football. We're going to flip back to the college football playoff bracket if I can, actually. So give me 1 second. My Ohio State fan reaction portion of this video is over. I'm back to the top of your screen. What a season. What a season as a whole. And let's kind of start previewing some things we're going to talk about in the offseason. I know this is a long video. It was going to be. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Before we do any of that, though, let's read some final stats from the national championship game. Some team stats: 445 yards for Ohio State, 308 yards for Notre Dame. 9 of 12 on third down for the Buckeyes, 5 of 12 for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame could not afford to let Ohio State run all over them. That, unfortunately, is exactly what happened. Now, penalties went the way of the Irish because Ohio State had more, but Ohio State outgained Notre Dame by almost 150 yards. They were near unstoppable on third down. They could not solve that Buckeye defense until the late stages there of that game, where they started to put some drives together. Ohio State shut down Jeremiah Love. They were able to shut down Jadarian Price simply with ease, and maybe you can question why they didn't give them some more carries, but Ohio State played their game, man, and to me, very deserving national champion. I really, after the teams that they ran through, I can't think of anyone more deserving, and you can't say anyone is more deserving because no one got left out of the college football playoff, in my opinion, that I felt like, got snubbed like a Florida State last year. And the teams that Ohio State had to run through to get here, it's why I call it the most legitimate national championship in college football history, because I think Ohio State just left no doubt. And that's what Ryan Day was preaching to this team. They were preaching 4 more games, not 1 more game after that Michigan loss. 4 more games. They went through 4 games and they won all 4. Your Buckeyes, well, my Buckeyes, but they are your national champions of the college football world. Now we can start talking about some of the things we're going to dive into in the offseason. First off, what a super fun year. And I already miss college football, man. I miss it so much. The 12-team playoffs, sure, there need to be some tweaks and things, and I've talked about this before. We'll talk about it in length in another video. You're not going to get everything right in year 1, and there are tweaks to be made to this format, absolutely, but I loved it. I loved this 12-team playoff. I thought it was great. I thought it was spectacular, and yeah, maybe some people are like, oh, well, there should have been some better games. There were some great games in this whole frame, man. Ohio State, Texas, great game. Notre Dame, Penn State, amazing game. Instant classic against Arizona State and Texas, awesome game. And I think even to an extent, Ohio State, Notre Dame was a pretty darn good game in and of itself. You could say to some extent Texas and Clemson, that was a pretty solid game. There were some really good moments in all of these games and some really good games just overall throughout these playoffs. College football is in a very interesting spot right now, and we'll talk about a little bit why I really want to make a state of college football video to where I kind of talk about my thoughts and what's happening, but I'm ready to already dive on in to next season. I think next season is going to be even crazier. I think next season is going to be even more wild. I just already can't wait for college football to be back. I'm so sad it is gone, but I also am going to enjoy this one for the better part of a month, but I'm probably lying to myself at that point. I'm going to enjoy this one for a really long time because, man, does this one just feel so, so, so good. The Ohio State Buckeyes, your 2024-2025 national champions of the college football world. What a season, man. Thank you all so much for the support this year. It has just been insane. I seriously never thought my channel would get as big as it has today. I didn't think that, 4.5 years ago now when I started this thing, maybe even 5.5 years ago. Man, that makes me feel old, but just thank you all so much for, if you sat through this whole thing, for watching this video. I know it was long, but I had a lot I wanted to say, a lot I wanted to talk about, and I wasn't giving myself a time limit on this video. I was just going to talk until I got nothing left to say, and I got nothing left to say. So just thank you all so much for the support. If you liked this video, again, subscribe, ring the bell, interact with the channel any way you can, interact with me on any social media that you want. Look out for probably most likely Twitter, but I'll try to post more on my community tab here on YouTube as well. Keep posting to those two things, and you'll start to get a little bit of an idea on how things are going to go this off season and some of the type of videos that I am going to be putting out. I will not be putting out a final top 25 because I just know it doesn't make any sense. We know who's on top, right? But yeah, we'll start talking about some college football things probably sometime next week. I'm going to get through the rest of the week. Still got a lot on tap for me personally here with schoolwork and just media realm stuff and things of that nature. But we'll dive into more college football talk here next week. What a fun season it was. Thank you all for joining me on this journey, and we hope you'll join me on the next season's journey as well. Stay tuned this offseason for more college football content. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in this next video. OHIO. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.